Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I greet you all wherever you are with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu from here in London. With the news that I have, alhamdulillah, completed my lecture tour of East Africa, of Mombasa and Nairobi, and also a short visit to Zanzibar. And I'm now back in London. My visit to East Africa came about only because I had to cancel my visit to Iran. I was not able to accommodate East Africa. But when I canceled Iran, then it became possible for me to visit East Africa. And this was by divine design. I believe that Allah wanted me to go to East Africa. I had not realized the importance of that geographical region of the world, so close to Arabia. Our enemies have invested heavily in that region of the world in trying to brainwash the people, in trying to intimidate them, in taking control of the masjid using, of course, riyals, Saudi riyals. And I found that there was a great need in East Africa for preaching the correct deen and getting people to aware of the reality of the world today. There's miserable poverty in that part of the world, and people are struggling just to eke a livelihood. I found that the radio was a very effective means of reaching out to people, and so my small team of students in Mombasa decided we're going to start our own radio station. I didn't know it was so cheap to start a radio program. And they're now doing that. They're going to try to translate my lectures to Swahili and then rebroadcast them in Swahili on the radio. But more importantly than that is the need to translate my books to Swahili with elegant, proper language, of Swahili language. And we need to do that quickly. Once the books are all translated to Swahili, we can then look for the money, inshallah, to try to print them. We probably have to print them in Malaysia because they're too expensive to print in East Africa. So today I'm making an appeal, particularly if you're here in Britain and you're from East Africa and you know the English language very well and you know the Swahili language. I'm making an appeal for volunteers. If you are willing to join the team of volunteers to translate all my books from English to Swahili, do please contact me, send me an email. You know my email address, inhosein@hotmail.com. You'll find it on my YouTube channels, you'll find it on my website. And this team of volunteers should, I hope, can get to work and get the books translated as quickly as possible to the Swahili language, and then may Allah help us to find the money to print the books and put them on sale in East Africa at a price that the people can afford. So this is my first announcement today. The second one is that the Turkish language is also now increasingly important because of our relations between the world of Islam and the world of Orthodox Christianity. And one stumbling block on the way is, of course, the extraordinary role of the Ottoman Empire, which waged war for 600 years on the Orthodox Christian world. And that has left a legacy of bitterness. The transformation of the Hagia Sophia Cathedral to a masjid, and then now to a museum. It has left a lasting legacy of bitterness in the hearts of the Orthodox Christian world. And I'm still feeling the walls being put up by Orthodox Christians who are unwilling as yet to embrace me. While there are some Orthodox Christians who have embraced me and who accepted my explanation concerning the past, there are others who still find it difficult. And if the Turkish language, if we can get my books translated to the Turkish language, there are many, many Turkish people, I am told, who would be willing and welcome to listen to a new version, a new historical perspective with which to understand the past, and might change their positions on the Ottoman Empire and particularly on Hagia Sophia. And so I'm making a second appeal now. The first was for the volunteers in Swahili, and now the second is for volunteers to translate to the Turkish language. If you are in Turkey, if you are in the Balkans, but more importantly, if you are here in Britain or the United States, you have a command of the English language and you can translate from English to Turkish. Do please send me an email if you'd like to volunteer, so we can make a team of volunteers and we can get to work to have all the books translated as soon as we can to the Turkish language. We may not have many years left before the Malhama takes place. And so this period of time that now remains between now and the Malhama is critically important, because as soon as the Malhama takes place, Armageddon, the Great War, we know that it's going to be a short period of time before a Muslim army is going to conquer Constantinople. And that is an extremely important event waiting to occur. We cannot wait for that event to occur before we mobilize our people, before we educate and explain to our people. We have a short period of time left, and that time must be grasped. And that's why we need to translate. I wish I had done this before, but better late than never. A team of volunteers who would be willing to translate my books, of course if you are comfortable with my scholarship, to translate my books, all of them into the Turkish language. Now then, the third announcement, and that is that while I have always been aware of the importance of Kashmir, the importance of the Indian Muslim community, and the importance of Pakistan, recent events have now caused that region of the world to assume an importance parallel to that of Eastern Europe and Russia. And that is the fact that I now recognize that the struggle against oppression in Kashmir is now exactly the same, no difference, as the struggle against oppression and for liberation from oppression in Palestine, in the Holy Land. The two are now the same. Prior to this, when Kashmir had a special status accorded to it in the Indian Constitution, the two were not the same. No, Kashmir had certain rights which Palestine did not have. But now that the Indian government, in an act of great foolishness, unprecedented foolishness, yes, they never thought out what they were doing. Once the Indian government has acted the way they have done, and having revoked that special status for Kashmir, what did they do? They put oil in the fire to burn even more by locking down the state of Kashmir. Not the Hindus are free to walk about. It's the Muslims of Kashmir. They're the ones who are locked down, under siege and curfew for how many days now? Almost 2 months. Almost 2 months these people are under siege, under curfew. It is shameful, it is despicable, it is miserably painful, and it is something that is an embarrassment for any Hindu who has some integrity left in him. That this is naked oppression. And this is oppression which cannot in any way be argued away and covered up. Not at all. This situation is going to grow from bad to worse. As soon as they lift the curfew, they will see what's going to happen. The Kashmiri people are not going to take what they did, sitting down. And so that region of the world has become even more important now. And unfortunately, I do not say this with any hatred in my heart at all. Unfortunately, Islamic scholarship in that region of the world has failed to come up to the requirements of this time. And people need guidance. The Kashmiri people need guidance. The Indian Muslims need guidance, and Pakistan needs guidance, and guidance comes from the Quran. And our scholars of Islam in that part of the world have failed in turning to the Quran to show the way forward. And so I think we need to get my books translated as quickly as possible to the Urdu language, and then have them published in Pakistan, printed in Pakistan, and made available to the Pakistani people and the Indian people and Kashmir at a price that can be afforded. And so I am making yet a third appeal, and that is for volunteers who have the knowledge of the English language and who know the Urdu language and who can translate into elegant Urdu. Urdu is such a beautiful language. We don't want substandard translations, no. Elegant Urdu. And as soon as we can get the books translated, all of them to Urdu, we already have a volunteer now, may Allah bless him, who traveled all the way to Malaysia to meet with me in the month of August, and who's offered to help with the cost of printing. And so if you are willing to volunteer, if you know someone who can volunteer, reach out to him, and please make contact with me if you're willing to volunteer to translate to the Urdu language all my books to Urdu. So these three announcements, an appeal for volunteers. I hope that Allah may put it into your hearts to respond, and we can get to work in translating as soon as possible. One more announcement, and that is that I will begin my lecture tour of Britain, inshallah, on Sunday, this coming Sunday, the 6th of October. I did have one lecture here in London, in Reading, 2 days ago, and we'll try to get that lecture onto the YouTube. It was on Islam and riba and modern Western civilization. And I'm very grateful to the community in Reading who have now opened their masjid to me, alhamdulillah. And when I return to Britain in November for another part of the lecture tour, we'll be able to schedule a lecture in Reading, and by their request, the road forward, the Quran and the road forward for Pakistan, for Kashmir, and for the Indian Muslims. But that is November, inshallah. But this time, on the 6th of October, Sunday the 6th, I go back to the Pluskaten Abbey, or monastery in Inverness, for a session with a Roman Catholic scholar at the Abbey itself. And if you're in Inverness or you're around that area in the north of Scotland, it's going to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the subject is on money. It's on money. We are going to remind our Christian audience that Nabi Isa alayhi salam, the Prophet Jesus, he went to the temple and he found them doing something wrong, and he turned over the tables and he cursed them and so on. What was it they were doing wrong? And then we'll remind him again about that other occasion when the Israelite people came to him and gave him a coin, Roman coin, and another coin, a temple coin, and asked him what to do. This is bogus money because it has the graven image in it. It's haram. And this is the halal money without the graven image. And his response, I wish we could get a better translation of his response. I'm not too happy with give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give unto God what belongs to God. I think the translation should be better than that. That answer that was given needs to be analyzed. So we're going to have this session on money. I will present money from the viewpoint of the Quran, and the Roman Catholic scholar will present the Roman Catholic view. If you're in that part of the world, do please come and join us on Sunday, the 6th of October at the Pluskaten Abbey in Inverness, or just about 45 minutes from the town of Inverness. The next day, Monday the 7th, I'll lecture at the masjid, the Inverness Masjid. Do please come to the masjid for Maghrib time, and the lecture will be on the Quran and the moon, methodology for reciting the Quran. I'll have to speak a little bit more about that a little later. On the Yawmul Jum'ah, the 11th of October, I will be in Glasgow, and again the same subject, the Quran and the moon. Do please come at Maghrib time. I hope I can give the Tazkirah at Salatul Jummah, and then the lecture will be in the night time at the Glasgow Islamic Center. On Saturday I'll take the train to Manchester, and on Sunday we go to Leeds for a private dinner with the Orthodox Christians, inshallah. Then there are 2 lectures in Manchester, the Quran and the moon, methodology for study for recitation of the Quran, and then on the next day the Quran and the stars, methodology for study of the Quran. This is what I'm concentrating on now, because I realize if people don't understand the Quran, how will they understand eschatology? It's difficult for them. So look forward then to Manchester on Wednesday, and on Thursday you'll find the venues, inshallah, on my website. And then we go from there to Newport, and then to Birmingham for 2 lectures, and then to Nottingham for 2 lectures, and then to Leicester before I travel to Brussels. But if you are in any one of these cities that I've mentioned, or if you are close to any one of these cities, this is your opportunity. If you would like to order a complete set of my books and get them personally autographed by me, you don't have to pay those huge fees, airmail fees from Trinidad. This is your time to come wherever I am in any of these cities and get a complete set of my books autographed. I brought some of the books which are not available in Britain. I brought them from Trinidad and I have them with me, not many. So do please come take this opportunity to get complete sets of my books. I will be in Brussels from the 29th to the 29th of October to the 3rd of November when I return to London. And if you are in Europe, in Germany, in Holland, in Switzerland, in France, or you want to come to Brussels, go to my website and you'll get, inshallah, the program for my lectures in Brussels. When I come back to London on the 3rd of November, inshallah, I'll be here for 2 weeks. And at that time, we will have another program of lectures in London. And on my website, you'll already find one program, I think it's on November the 9th at the London University. But if you would like to, offer your masjid or offer an Islamic center as a venue for any lecture of mine, this is the time to contact me quickly, so we can respond to you and schedule a lecture for you, inshallah, when I return. Finally, the good news is that I have a new book which is nearing completion. It is, of course, the Quran and the Moon, methodology for reciting the Quran, and I cannot stop thanking Allah. I cannot stop thanking Him. That you'll find in this book much that will surprise you, that you've never known before about the way to recite the Quran. Do please make dua to Allah that I may be able to complete the book soon, and we will send it for printing. And may Allah bless those who have reached out to help me to be able to reach London, who have helped me all along the way. I was in Malaysia for about 2 months. I was in Indonesia. I was in Bangkok. I was in Mombasa, Nairobi, and in Zanzibar before coming here to London. And many people were so kind and helpful to me. I suffered a big loss in Bangkok, and someone reached out to help me. May Allah bless them all. May Allah bless them all. I cannot stop thanking them. That's, alhamdulillah, this long travel of 4 months completely. I'm tired now, but still I'm continuing the work. That Allah blessed it to be successful. And now this book, as soon as it is finished, it will be the crown for me, that I was able to complete writing this book. Please make dua that I may complete it. The Quran and the Moon, methodology for reciting the Quran. I want to say to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and I look forward to meeting you either in Inverness or in Glasgow or in Manchester or in Leeds or in Birmingham or in Newport or in Nottingham or in Leicester, any one of these cities, inshallah, during the month of October. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.